Okay, this is exciting for me to introduce Monte Tugwete, good friend, good member of our CTS community. Comes from Zimbabwe in Africa. This is not his first time joining us in this capacity as a special lecturer. He has done it before, and he's given this lecture twice, and every time I thoroughly enjoyed listening and learning from what he has to talk to us about, share with us, teach us, enlighten us. So you are all in luck today. So he's here. So Monte, it's all yours. Talk to us about your
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to use this board and also use the PowerPoint presentation. So I'll be going back and forth. If I speak in a way that you don't understand, or if you've got a question whilst I'm speaking, please go ahead and just say something to me, and then we can discuss about it. Okay. So I come from Zimbabwe, which is southern Africa, the southernmost part of Africa, down there. That's where I come from. So Dr. So said I need to talk about history as well. So what I'm going to do about history is that I'm going to start from 1200. Okay. And try as much as possible to get to the present day. Okay. But before I do that, I want to talk about African tradition and religion. Shona life, which is my language. The language that I speak is Shona. Okay. So in Shona life, when you invited me here in the US, you invited Monte, right? Mm-hmm. This is whom you invited to this class, right? But in my culture, from where I come from, you didn't invite Monte. You invited me and my family and my tribe and my totem. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's me. That's my center. So we don't usually use the first name. We rotate to that. And then because now I am grown and I am old and I have a family and I'm married to this lady here who is called Meredith. And Meredith and Monte have got a son who is called Malachi. By virtue of that, my suffix here changes. I'm no longer called Tugwete. I'm called Atugwete or Vatugwete, which means it's plural. So it's a form of respect. So they don't call me with just my name, but it becomes plural. So it's either A or Va. Okay? Because that's Shona, right? Okay? And then this is what we want to look at. When I am here, right? This is me, right? I'm an individual, right? Which in my language, Shona, because I'm an individual, I am called, I want you to mark this very well. This is what I am called, Munu.
Can you spell that?
M-U-N-H-U, okay? What is most important here is this root here is very important. Okay, in Zulu, it's different. which is closer to what most people would know, it will be Muslim 2. Okay? So I want you to mark this not this one. 2 is the root of so many things that we're going to look at. Okay? So, but then Monte, all right, Monte did not just come here on his own. Okay? Monte is a product of his father and mother, Kristen. Okay? All right? Okay? Then, when we go there and we put that in place, I'm not going to put my brothers because it's going to, there's be a lot of things that will happen. But I'll just try and show you what I'm getting to. When that happens now, we get to a level where this now, because I'm looking at myself, it becomes now what? A family, right? Family in my name is called Muri. Mhuri. Okay? Right? All right. But then she did not get there on her own. Okay? And he did not get there on his own. Okay? That's my maternal grandfather. And he's late. And that's my maternal, sorry, my paternal. My paternal grandfather. Okay, so you see what is happening now. What is happening is that we are now getting down, and then when we look at this now, what we're looking at now is we are getting an extended family. Okay, when you look at the extended family, okay, it now, this is what we call, it becomes a clan. Okay? But then if we continue, and I said he is late, right? She is late. He is late. Okay? And then, here, we have now I don't know him. It's one of my other surname, but I do not know him. Okay, they're all late. Okay, and this one also. They are all late. Okay? So this is what I want to get at. So when we get here at this level, supposed to use red. When we get at this level, now this becomes a what? Okay? Right. So when we get here, because this is just me, I'm singular, right? But now when it becomes, when we are many, it becomes plural, right? It was me, just an individual, okay? And then when it's plural, because there are plenty of us, it's now Vanu. I want you to mark that root there, okay? And then as it gets bigger, right? As it gets bigger, as more people get involved, it's called Chivano. Again, I want you to mark that, which is in two. But I'm giving you in my language, which is Shona. So if I'm singular, I am Munu, and if there are plenty, it's Manu. When there are many of us now, it becomes Chivanu, which is now a way that we live our life. Okay? And then I want to go this other side and show you something, right? All these people are living, right? Okay? And then these people are dead. The ones that I said are late. But we call them the what? No. They are the living dead. Okay? These are the guys that I do not know of. They are ancestors.
Oh, got it. Wait a minute. The living dead, you knew them?
The living dead are the ones that I know
Okay.
by name.
Okay.
Okay?
Because
Wait,
you were
wait,
keeping
like,
them
so,
alive.
so actually, like, you knew them, or like you just know of them?
I know them, I interacted with them.
Okay.
Okay? So we are the living, these are the living dead. The ones that I do not know immediately become ancestors.
Okay.
Okay?
So if there's a memory with a person, they're the living dead. If it's
Yes.
just someone you know,
Yes.
have heard of, it's
Yes.
an ancestor.
So the reason why we say the living dead is because they're in contact with me, and then when they die, after 1 year, we do what we call Kurowa Guba, which is bringing back their spirit into our lives so that they can look after us. That's why they're the living dead. So we do a ceremony overnight, and then we go to the graveyard, and then we come back with their spirit, and then they're looking over us, the living dead. But the ancestors are the ones that are in there. But all this now, the classification is done in such a way that there's a further classification that is there. The further classification is according to a totem. Okay, so totem. My totem is called Mofu. Right? And Mofu, that animal is an eland. Okay? So we are a highly patriarchal society. So what it means then is that I get my name. This is Tugwete as well. Okay? This is Tugwete as well. This is Tugwete. So we get our names from our paternal side. So everyone who's here is Mofu, right? You're getting it. Everyone is Mofu, is Eland. Okay. Here's a different part of things. Is that this one, my mother, is Nzo, which is elephant. And she's a woman, but she gets that from. All right, okay. And then this one, the interesting one, is that my grandmother, this one is Shuma, which is lion. Can you see something which is happening here? Mofu and Mofu as well. I said Mofu, right? Let me just put it. He's Mofu. He's Mofu.
What is the animal for Mofu?
It's eland.
Eland.
What kind of animal is the eland?
The eland is like a sable, kind of like
Okay.
with big toe and humongous and giant animal. So
It's a type of antelope.
it's sort of, yeah. So you see what is happening here. If you get to the issue of taboo and all that and what is we were seen as a dark continent, But we were so clever in the things that we do because we avoided having recessive genes by doing it this way. Because you will never marry anyone who is of the same totem with you. Because you are related from deep down here. And if I want to trace this, there are some people, there is what we call a zinde, which is like a root from where we come from. Everyone of the Mofu clan. There is like it's more like a myth now, a legend of somebody who had 5 wives. We call him Nyashanu, which is like five wives because he had 5 wives. And it's the one that where our tribe comes from. Right? And then, so, you see even here, because he is Nzowe as well, he got married to Shumba, which is different. So whenever you have someone else that you want to marry, those are the questions that they will ask. What's your totem?
Okay.
If it's not, then the marriage will not go ahead. Or if you've already consummated the marriage, then you have to have a ceremony of cutting off that relationship. So you bring in a white cow, you slaughter it, and you do whatever you do, and then you sever those ties. So this is how it is. Okay? So living, dead ancestors. That's me, Munu, Muri, Vanu, Chivanu. Okay? So most people know this, the Ubuntu.
Yeah.
Ubuntu is just the same as this one.
Shivano?
Yes. So Ubuntu is Umuntu. Ungabantu. Okay? And then in Shona, I say Munu Nevanu. Do you see the Vanu that I'm talking about? So you only become a person with other people. So it's that's now in English translation. So it's different from, I will talk about that later on if I have the chance to do that. A different kind of, something that is different from this, that is opposed to this. I'll leave it like that. So this is how we are, okay? Individual, family, extended family, tribe. And the way that things work is that as an individual, right? So that's me, right? I have my self-governance, right? But then when there are issues that happen, if there are any issues that are there, the next port of call is the family. Okay? So the family, if there is any issue that happens that has to do with which we have to deal with, it happens in the family. Stanrek has his sisters and brothers and all that and what have you. We're part of the family. I didn't put those in. But I want to just go there because Stanrek's sisters are very important in as far as I am concerned. Because they're the ones who deal with my issues. If I've got issues with Meredith, I go to Stanrek's sisters. And if there is need now for somebody to call a family court, they convene the family court. Okay? And now let's say we're now spread out, right? We now have a bigger one, which is like the extended family, which is what the clan comes in. And then for governance purposes of issue and all that, we now have a bigger one, which is what?
Nation? Tribe?
At tribal level, there is a chief. So we have our chieftainship that we have because we grew, I mean, it's bigger than this. If I wanted to put more of that, it will confuse you, but it's bigger. We've got our own chieftainship. We also have our at clan level, we also have our village, and we've got our village head or headman. Yes.
My question was, in terms of how you classify a tribe or a clan, does it move in the direction, so if you're looking at your father's lineage, does the clan move that way, or does it also include the women on this side? Does that make sense?
So yeah, so we're gonna talk about that later on about when it comes to marriage. So when Christine is married, got married to Stanrick, what happened is that on the ceremony of the wedding, she puts on a veil, right, before she comes into the family, and then sort of the symbolism is that she's clocking off whatever was from her family, and then when she enters into our family village, she takes it off, which means that which was past is past. Now she's new in this family. She subsumes and takes the women side of the totem.
Okay.
She drops off her totem.
Her own name.
Yeah. She drops off her totem and she takes on the totem of the family.
Got it.
Yeah. So she's part of us now. She's no longer part of her other family.
Got it.
But we still have that interactions that we have because we are hierarchical in our thinking. Like, still remember I said when I grow up and I'm no longer singular, but I'm now plural. I'm va, because that's what my brothers, even my brothers, refer to me in plural. Because I'm bigger than I'm the
Your status
older
is
brother.
higher.
Yes, my status is high. They are lower than me. So that's what happens. So yeah, basically I think that's it. I mean, if you've got more questions, you could ask about that. If you've got questions before I move on to the next
Real
question.
quickly, Meredith, your wife,
Yes.
she lets go of her family and becomes part of yours.
I rebelled. I did something that is very different. My wife is Canadian.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they also have their own. They were adopted by a First Nations family, and she has
Her own thing. Okay.
She has a. If you're interested, hers is the eagle.
How was she perceived? How was she accepted into your side?
And to my side, because
Did she have to do
there are
the
ceremonies that you do when you get married. She did all that.
Okay. Okay.
I'll get to that as well if I have time. Yeah, because yes.
Did you say family council can be called? Or what did you say? If there
So
are,
it's me, right? I govern myself what I do. I want to go to CTS, I want
Yeah.
to do this and all that, what have you, right? But if there are the issues that are there, let's say between me and my wife and all that, then the family, I said there are many people here at this level. We get together and we are a council that passes resolutions and things that are supposed to be taken care of, and we work out our issues there before we, even if there is something that is even criminal based or what have you, if it can be dealt with at the family level, it's dealt with at the family level. Yes.
And when you say family, you mean the paternal side of the family only, right?
Yes, and at the same time, if it involves her, we are fair in that she has to have representation from her side as well.
Okay.
To come into that. But basically what happens is that everyone is on the paternal side of things. So if you get married, like what I said, the veiling, and you move into our family, the laws and the whatever we deal with are the ones that you have to subscribe to, yes.
Alright, so how do I word this? When you get married and you lift off the veil and you're getting rid of what you've had before, does that mean, are you still, like, holidays and things? Is there still contact with the wife's side.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Bible has that kind of marriage where Rebecca got married to Isaac. So remember that?
Mm-hmm.
She veiled herself.
Mhm.
We are more in the same kind of like trick of doing things with what was happening in Israel.
So
You
it's
find
not-
this is basically what they have as well. So remember Jacob blessing his sons,
Right.
and one is the lion of the tribe of Judah, and all the others getting the totems and all that and what have you. It's one and the same thing.
Okay.
The classification that we have, that we use.
I have another question
Yes,
about the family council again.
yes.
Is there a known process for that? That's
So everything is
universal?
everything
or
is
it-
hierarchical.
Is it individual within your?
The oldest person is the one who is in charge all the time.
Mm.
I'll get to that as well as I move forward.
Okay.
Because I just want to move forward. Maybe I might run out of time, but I'll see. But let me try and maybe I'll answer some of the questions. Let's see. So the family life happens in the heart. Very, very important. Very, very important. When you see that, it's one of the bases of what we have as an African family. You see how it is, how it's built with the ventilation and the storage and everything, and living quarters and stuff and things that are there, right? And this is what you usually see, right? The first wife is there, the husband is at the center, the second wife, the third wife, the fourth, the fifth, unmarried son, first son, third son, second son, fourth son, okay? All right, and granaries of storages and all that. Okay, that's basically. I'm talking about hardcore Shona kind of. I'm not talking about urban. I'm talking at the raw level and how things work. And then this is very important. Like
So are you allowed more than one wife?
I'll get to that as well. Or maybe I could just get to it. But I was going to get to it because after moving through this, but maybe let's okay.
Take your time.
Let me write it down so that we will not. Okay. So that we don't forget about it. I'll answer your question. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll answer your question, okay, so that I don't get sidetracked. So what you see is the entrance there, right? And then that's where the fire is. And then there, that's the hearth. And then that's where people, when you come into the house, you sit there. Okay? So yes, I mean, that is very important. And as far as Shona life is concerned, everything that you need to live and to subsist and for cultural, and for also for religious purposes are done here. This is both a house and a shrine.
Mm.
It's a house and a chapel, a house and a church. So what happens is that everything that we do it here, right? The hearth is more of your altar. Okay? So like what I was saying is we are highly patriarchal, and the father, right? The father knows the living dead. The father also knows the ancestors. The father is the high priest. So let's say I am going away and doing something else. The father will go here at the hearth and will say prayers, right, to God, who is Mwari.
Who is Larry?
Mwari. M-W-A.
I was like, God, Larry.
Or Mlimu. Mlimu, right?
It's not Larry.
How do you
Right? But we this God is both transcendent. If you I'm now using your
Our language.
your theological language, and immanent. Am I using something that people don't understand? So because he's transcendent, so he is called Mukuru Mukuru, which is very big. Or Chibwe Chitedza, which is a rock of all ages. You see how it is, okay? But here is something that happens, right? We, the living, do not know of this transcendent and immanent God who lives within us. But our belief system is that these ancestors who were there before us were very close to Chibwe Chitedza. So when you get to the heath, you now invoke this, the totem of this, and the names of the living dead that you know. He invokes, let's say it's me, if he is passed, and then I invoke this, I invoke this, and I invoke this, and I say, then you guys pass on to him. Do you see that there is no intermediary here?
Right.
So that's how we do it. That's our religious life, and that's how we've done it. I'm told that there were sometimes when there was hunger and all that, whatever, people used to go under a tree, a huge tree, and they would pray and they would get food.
Right. Now, do you all do libations as well?
Yeah, that's the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the same thing. You have to have libation. No, there's so many things. I'm just cutting off so that I don't get through most of the stuff. But I hope you get it. So yeah, that's how it happens. So if I am getting married, right, and whatever, because we pay dowry, whatever dowry that I have, I give it to my father. My father goes to the front and he says, this is the money that we're going to use to pay dowry and all that. Will you just go with this child and all that and what have you, and ancestors, living dead ancestors, and to God. And then you take that money and then you go and you do whatever you're doing. I'm going to school. Father goes in the front and that's what he does. He prays and stuff goes on like that. This, now I'm getting to the 1200s. So let's say this was during the time when everything was pure, right? In our 1200s, what we would do is that all those huts and all those houses and all that, we'll build a city. There's a city that we have that is called Zimbabwe Ruins. That would then encompass everyone else inside for protection. So that's the city that we have. Our country is named after that city that was built in 1200s, between the 1200s to the 1600s. There was what was called the Monomotapa Empire. Here. Monomotapa Empire. And the Rosary Empire. Okay, in the 1200s until this was that was the rise and the rise of that of these two empires, right? And then in the 1600s there was a decline. It's something that is very important that I'm leaving before I go to this. It's on the slide. Tell me what you see here before I go back to that. Sorry about going to that. Tell me what you see here.
President and his wife of the
Who is
United
this?
States, Barack Obama.
This is Yahya Jammeh. He's no longer there, and his wife, and Obama. What else do you see?
Staff. And we're at the White House.
Yeah. I'm not
What
quite
is
sure
he
the
holding?
significance, but
What is he
it's
holding?
obviously
Staff.
significant.
Stuff. That's a religious stuff.
Religious staff.
And the beads and everything. So this is what we do in Africa. There is no separation between our religion. There is no separation between the sacred and we call it the sacred. the sacred and secular. Thank you. And there is no separation between the private and the what?
Public.
Exactly. What you see is what you get. When our leader comes up, we expect him to come with himself and his religion. So when I stand, I am there with everything. I bring my religion. And when I speak and whatever I do, that religion is expected in Africa. And you see what he's doing. What's that? Those who know. What's that book?
By Quran. That looks like a misbaha with it.
You see, and he's praying over his
He's
people
praying.
when he was the leader.
Mm.
And he's ministering to his people, right? But he was deposed though, this guy. Right? Later on, that's what they discovered
Ooh.
in his house.
Mm.
That's how it goes.
That's lovely.
Yeah, that's what they discovered, all that, and what have you. To the extent that this is what they actually had later on about him, that he was all the facade. But we expect that, and that's what people come with, right? Getting back to this.
Wow.
So the 1200th, with that, right? That was the Monomotapa Empire, the Rosary Empire. These were huge empires. Look at how they were in the bottom of Africa. Here, it was extending. This is where Zimbabwe is. This is where South Africa is. The Nguni would be the ones that you guys know of, the Zulu. Zulu tribe, the Kalahari deserts with Namibia, present-day Namibia, and all that. So that's what we had. It's thriving. It's very well, and they traded with the Portuguese coming in and trading with that, with us. And then in the 1600s, there was a decline, right? And then the London Missionary Society, this is very important. The London Missionary Society was formed in 1795. I'll just pull it as LMS, London Missionary Society, formed in 1795. Very important, this organization, okay? And then, so this is it's the rise, right? And then 1600, it's the decline, okay? And then we go to 1830. So in 1830, something happened. You know, Chaka Zulu with the Ngoni people, Chaka Zulu was very ruthless. He did what is called the Mfekane. And what it did was that he was ruthless. If you went to war and you come back as a soldier with a wound at your back, he killed you straight off.
Why?
Because you're a coward.
You should have died.
Yeah. You should have wounds at the front, not at the
Because
back.
you ran away.
You
Yeah.
ran. Okay.
And he was purging so many people. So what happened is that Muzilikazi, right, with his people from here, they moved up north into the southern part of Zimbabwe. And the southern part of Zimbabwe has got people who are called the Ndebele speaking people, who ran away from Chaka Zulu from here, coming up there. So they did that in 1830. Okay, so in 1830, the Ndebeles came to the southernmost part of Zimbabwe. I'm talking about Zimbabwe now. Okay, right, and then at the same time, between 1830 and 1836, right, we have now hunters coming into this. Remember, this is a pure society as is here, as I've said. And they're now coming in, right, from here. They landed from here and they were coming up, and some were coming from there, the Portuguese, for trading and all that. So hunters and missionaries, and guess who the missionaries are from? Where are they from?
Here.
Jolly old England.
London missionary.
Yes.
Yep.
And these guys, London Missionary Society. So London Missionary Society, they send a person who's very consequent in as far as Zimbabwe and Southern Africa is concerned. There's a guy who's called Moffat. And then we'll add the one that most people know. David Livingstone. David Livingstone married Moffat's daughter. That's how close they were. And this is Robert. Yeah, this is Robert Moffat. Sneaky character. Very clever, because he cheated most of some of Robert Moffat. Okay, and then Robert Moffat, he signed the Moffat Treaty, the first Moffat Treaty, which they were cheating. By that time now, the leader was no longer Muzilikas of the Ndebele people. The leader was now Lobengula. I'll try and see if I have his photo somewhere. No, I'm just trying to show the empire, how it goes. That's Munumtapa. And that's how the state of, it's now the Zimbabwe ruins. And we love it so much, we put it on our dollar, on our currency. All right. 1836, he signs the Moffat Treaty, right? And then 1855, because he was staying with them and going back and forth to London Missionary Society to get money and come back, and because they were sponsoring him, you would go to England and come back and all that. 1855, that's when David Livingstone happens to come up across what we call Mosi or Tunya. And most people would not know this, but if I say Victoria Falls, people would know.
That's what that is?
Yes.
Okay.
Mosi Tunya means smoke that thunders. Okay? Smoke that thunders. So when he came, when he happened to come up across that, what he was doing cartography. That's the reason why I'm focusing mostly on David Livingstone, is that he's dangerous in as far as Southern Africa is concerned, because he did cartography, and then the cartography showed all the Europeans what Southern Africa is like, because he went from sea to sea. And the moment that he did that, there is the face of the empire. And who did he inspire? He inspired this guy, who is called Cecil John Rhodes. Cecil John Rhodes is the face of the empire, and when you see him looking at that, he has something what he calls the idea of the Cape. This is the Cape and Cairo. So he says from the Cape to Cairo, he wanted to conquer that land for the Queen. That's now David Livingstone. That's him. The War of November 17, 1855. Mosi Tunya, the smoke that thunders. Then he renamed it Victoria Falls. That's what people know. He named it after his queen. The scene was so lovely, he later wrote that it must have been gazed upon by angels in their flight. And what is interesting is that history has recorded that he was the first human being to see these falls. Check.
Right.
Check who is there. Okay?
Oh, colonizers.
Yeah, and this is what he said. I'm serving Christ when shooting a buffalo for my men or taking an observation, even if some will consider it not sufficiently or even at all missionary. That's his thinking. That was David Livingstone's thinking. His object was to open a missionary road, God's highway. He also called it 1,500 miles north into the interior, to bring Christianity and civilization to unreached people.
Right.
So these are the unreached people. This. People of the Dark Continent. Also known as savages.
Wild savages. Sounds good.
His motive, his primary ambition was to expose the slave trade and carry it off at the source. That's what he was saying. The strongest weapon in this task, he believed, was Christian commercial civilization. Do you get it? You get how twisted it is? Christian commercial